Well, this morning, the Middle East at a breaking point. The IDF eliminated Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah. How the militant commander's death could crush hopes for a ceasefire amid Iran's call for Muslims to hit back. Experts warn the gates of hell are opening. Plus,
the wind was very, very strong here. Really strong. It picked up a lot of trees, a lot of different areas was picked up and taken off of the ground. Motorcycles, cars was moving around, houses was shaking, windows and stuff. It's a lot of oak trees and stuff just completely out of the ground.
When I woke up, it was like, devastation everywhere. I ain't never saw nothing like that before, not since the last time, but this was worse.
Dozens dead in the wake of Hurricane Helene, the catastrophic storm leveling towns and causing billions in damage. Newsnation is live on the ground with more on the long road to recovery. And Trump and Harris back on the trail in battleground states this weekend. Newsnation is breaking down the vice president's lead in new national polls and what the former president is doing to win back swing state voters. But first, more on our top story this hour. Take a look at that. Explosions ripping through southern Beirut amid Israeli airstrikes targeting the man who has led Hezbollah for more than 30 years. Israel announcing his death and other top commanders. Hezbollah later confirming his death. The Lebanese health ministry saying 6 people were killed in these attacks. And though that number is expected to climb, the UN now saying that over 50,000 Lebanese have crossed into Syria fleeing from those airstrikes. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu here ordering the airstrike from his New York hotel room just before giving a fiery speech to the UN defending Israel's war. U.S. officials saying today that Israel did not inform them before the attack. Joining me now is national security expert Rich Danielson. All right, Rich, how big of a game changer is his death, Nico, not just in the current war, but for the region in general?
Absolutely. This is a huge game changer. You got to really think about it that Hezbollah has made it prominent known that they want to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. This is a huge game changer. Israel took the proactive step to eliminate one of the biggest warlord leaders. Additionally, them conducting this has created a huge momentum for Israel, taking the momentum from the war and also showing that they're about business and progress. Now, unfortunately, what this means is more likely it's going to propagate throughout the region, cause regional destabilization. However, Israel has made the message very clear to not only Hezbollah and also other terrorist organizations that they're not here to play the games, and this will more likely lead to further conflict.
Wow, just how much does his death and the death of those other Hezbollah commanders hurt Hezbollah's ability to strike back at Israel? That's a huge question this morning.
Correct. That's a good question. So Israel has been conducting precision airstrikes on high-value targets, not only on high-value targets, but also on top of that, their supply chain. So they're crippling Hezbollah. More than likely, Hezbollah will meet its demise very soon. However, there's always another terrorist organization willing to step up and step forward. So this will be an ongoing battle for Israel, but this is a huge victory for Israel, and they're winning.
And we're taking a look at the Israel-Lebanon border right there. You can see the devastation. I mean, it's just a wow as we look at this. But back to some of our questions. Iran's embassy in Beirut had this to say. I want to read this for you. There is no doubt that this reprehensible crime and reckless behavior represent a serious escalation that changes the rules of the game, that its perpetrator will be punished appropriately and disciplined. But we heard this kind of saber rattling after Israel killed the Hamas chief a couple of months ago. So what kind of response do you think we'll really see from Iran here?
Right. So Iran is known to chant their egos and also kind of do the war cry. And when they deliver, it's very futile and very flimsy, if you will. Israel is backed by the United States, and they'll more likely see other attacks on their embassies, and more than likely the United States will more likely see an attack on its embassy. We've already seen it in Lebanon before. We already saw it in Beirut in the 80s, where a bunch of Marines died. I could foresee that Iran's going to go ahead and take a step forward and try to attack us, not only on our soil, but also on foreign soil.
Many people are asking this morning, could we see Iran try to close the Strait of Hormuz or manipulate oil production? This is a very hot area that a lot of people are watching today.
right? So this will be a strategic play on their part. If they close the gap, that means they'll restrict not only oil, but food and water. And then at that point, you're actually conducting a war against humanity in the war, not necessarily against Israel. So this will be a very big move if they did that, and will send a clear message that they want war, not only with Israel, but with the world.
You know, Netanyahu is showing no signs of backing down in his speech to the UN. We were watching that, instead ramping up the rhetoric, particularly against Iran. Let's listen.
For too long, the world has appeased Iran. It turns a blind eye to its internal repression. It turns a blind eye to its external aggression. Well, that appeasement must end, and that appeasement must end now.
So at this point, do you think that we could see preemptive attacks on Iran just like we've seen on Hezbollah? You know, when we step back, could such an attack spark a regional war? That's what so many people are focused on, too.
I believe we're already heading that way, regardless of preemptive, proactive attacks. What I think is going to happen here is Iran, unfortunately, has its people by the chokehold. They're elite leaders. They want to go to war. They've always been a conflict on both sides, internal and external, and this is going to lead to a regional war within the area. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of lives casualties, and then also a lot of lives lost along with homes. Israel does not want war. They just want to live in stability. And whenever you have these different neighboring countries that will continually want war and to wipe them off the face of the earth, unfortunately, you will always have war.
Again, I just want to point our viewers to what we're looking here on our screen, the Israel-Lebanon border. You can see what is going on as we just take it's a stunning live look that we're bringing you right now. Also, you know, Netanyahu also briefly addressed Israel's post-war plans regarding Gaza, which has seen widespread destruction following almost a year of heavy combat. Let's listen here again.
We don't seek to resettle Gaza. What we seek is a demilitarized and de-radicalized Gaza. Only then can we ensure that this round of fighting will be the last round of fighting.
Okay, so what does the Prime Minister mean by that? How do you think he intends to deal with this population that has seen losses so grave that some are calling it genocide at this point?
That's an interesting perspective. Yeah. So I've been to Gaza, I've been to Israel multiple times. Here's the premise behind it, is that they're going to remove the terrorist organization that actually controls the fuel, the energy, and the people, and put the people in charge with the support of Israel, Israel military, and Israel aid. So that's what they're going to definitely try. That's the approach that they're trying to achieve. However, they're going to continue hit with rhetoric and also other types of warfare. If you ask me personally, this war will continue for another 20, 30 years for sure before it stabilizes.
Wow. Well, that is a grim forecast. Israel and Lebanon, the numbers of troops and the number of population differ so greatly. What can you tell us about that, and how do you see that playing out?
Yes, so Israel has obviously a lot more troops. Just remember, every citizen is a troop, so you know they have more airstrike, more air fire. Hezbollah, remember, they're a terrorist organization, so they will actually force people to fight. They are going, if not, they're going to kill them. So that's why they have such a low amount of fighters. These are actually the fighters that we see. We call them freedom fighters, if you will. But in reality situation, they're just terrorist organizations. Forcing somebody to fight for their country against their will is an act of terrorism. On the Israel side, they have the complete advantage here. They have the technology. They've known that for many years. They have the warfare technology, and they have the people, bread, beans, and bullets as well.
And last question, you see an all-out war happening here?
I see an all-out war within that region. We saw in the 7-day siege with the different countries trying to invade Israel a while ago. I see that happening here real soon, probably within the next 10 years.
Wow. All right. National security expert Richo Danielson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.